With everything the little people have to deal with on this planet, I'm not sure why someone thought we needed to go off planet this week. But here we go. In the year 5477. In the year 5477, we're still reusing props and set pieces from Lost in Space, but that's not the part we're supposed to notice.
Olds, Fielder, your mission is routine. You travel back in time 100 years. You will make observations for 2 hours in real time, and then you will return here.
I guess that's one way to double check the history books, or whatever they use. There are strict rules about interfering with the past, and there are severe penalties for doing so. As we go along, we'll get little hints about this society, but the upshot is this: that thing is Big Brother. It's always watching you, and you can't get away with breaking its rules because it will know. We have a totalitarian regime of some kind, and everybody, including these two, is subject to it. Olds and Fielder are off on their routine mission. I always thought Willy Wonka built that fancy elevator. Turns out he just bought it from these guys.
The Finder. It's set for 5,000 years instead of 100. That's right. Well, how could you make such an error? It was not an error.
Nope, he has big plans for Earth's past.
But if we're caught, it means annihilation.
But if we succeed, we rule the universe.
Did I neglect to mention the other part? He'll make sure this oppressive regime never exists because he'll replace it with his own oppressive regime.
If we have to talk privately in front of the inhabitants, use your thought waves. Do not speak vocally.
Of course they're telepathic. That's what the funny hats are for.
Follow me down.
And it goes without saying that they travel by Irwin Allen Special.
It's getting harder every day to find food.
No, we never go anywhere near where the giants live.
I don't believe in taking unnecessary chances. Let's see if the others have returned.
Okay, I'll go in.
We're in luck. The inhabitants are not unlike us at all.
And in typical Irwin Allen fashion, everybody else in the universe knows how to do that to humans, too. They can't explain the huge foliage, but Olds doesn't care. They study our heroes' clothing and decide to mimic Fitzhugh's uniform.
I doubt if these people understand telepathy. When you speak to them, use your voice.
First he says use your telepathy, then he says use your voice. Make up your mind, dude.
See ya.
Where did you come from?
We were about to ask you the same question.
They both have uniforms exactly like yours, Mr. Fitzhugh.
I can see that. I'm Commander Fitzhugh, U.S. Navy. And you, gentlemen?
I'm Commander Olds. This is Commander Fielder.
But if you're all commanders, how do you decide who's in command?
Giant! Run, quick!
Get out of sight! Hurry!
They don't seem to grasp what's going on here. They should be following Fitzhugh and Barry's lead. On the other hand, if you have one of those, I guess you don't need to run.
That explains the size of the foliage.
What do we do with this one?
Dispose of him, of course.
Yes, that giant was dead. Still is, actually. And I think Olds is starting to realize he should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. Fitzhugh and Barry are reporting to Steve about the other Earthmen. Steve is more concerned about a giant finding their camp.
If the giants have discovered our camp, we're going to have to give it up.
We have to abandon it anyway, Captain. Don't you understand? These men are from Earth. They can take us back.
Let's pause for a deep breath and think about this for a few seconds. They encountered two men their own size wearing uniforms identical to his. They haven't identified themselves beyond their names. Nobody knows how they got there or in what or when, but it's natural to assume that two of them came in a vehicle that has room for 7 more people, right?
What's up? Who's Mark and Betty? Over by the Yellow Lawn.
Okay, take them over there and stay until I send Valerie back with word.
Okay, but what's up?
That's what I want to find out.
As usual, he can't even give his co-pilot the basic information. He'll leave him in the dark and hope Fitzhugh and Barry fill him in. Am I an awful person if I say much of the time Steve is a lousy boss? He's not as bad as Billy on Misfits of Science, but he does have his Billy moments.
Look. Where did that come from?
It's clean and functional, so it just got here. While they're speculating as to where the giant who owns it might have gone, 2 more giants come along.
Hey, Ron, look at this.
Is it his?
Yes, and I had to know I bought it for him.
Then he's around here somewhere.
I told you he was. He wouldn't run off and leave us behind.
Well, let's find him.
Remember a few episodes ago when we saw Sugar Ray Robinson, a famous boxer turned actor? Braun there is another one. Boxing was the only thing Jerry Quarry ever wanted to do. His father was a boxer and Jerry idolized him. His dad became his trainer and this boy was headed for greatness. He set a record in the Golden Gloves competition, knocking out 5 opponents in a row. He went pro and started working his way up. The American racist community called him the Great White Hope. Every time they did, he cringed a little more because he hated the title. He just wanted to be a successful boxer. He wasn't interested in being anybody's figurehead. To be a successful boxer, you not only have to be able to punch, you have to be able to take a punch. Everybody who ever worked with Quarry said he had a cast iron jaw. You could practically hit him with a pile driver and it wouldn't faze him. Then it was his turn, and he could hit a lot harder than you could. A lot harder. That was his style. Move, draw the guy in, then strike. Too bad all that went out the window when he got his first shot at the championship. He went up against Joe Frazier, the first guy to knock Muhammad Ali out of the top spot. But instead of playing his game, Jerry decided to go toe-to-toe with Frazier and just trade punches. It wasn't a good trade. Frazier made hamburger of him. He fought 3 other champions, including Muhammad Ali, and lost all of them. He tried acting and was about as successful as Sugar Ray was. He died in poverty, pretty much mentally checked out from all the blows to the head he took over the years. By the time he expired at 53, he was pretty well totally dependent on his family. I'm going to suggest something radical here. Outlaw boxing and similar sports. It's nothing but modern-day gladiators. The goal of the game is to give your opponent a concussion or otherwise injure him to the point where he can't continue. What the f***? We have the audacity to call a culture that worships this kind of personal injury contest civilized. And for the record, as long as you keep it clean, I won't block your rage comments.
They're gone.
They must be looking for the giant that fits you so.
But all they found was his pistol. People of all sizes are wondering what's going on here.
I told him we shouldn't have left camp without the radios.
Well, now how could we bring them, Mark? They're being recharged.
Then we shouldn't have left until they were ready. It's dangerous to be out of communication this way.
There's nothing you can do about it now.
Well, I think there is. I'm going back to camp.
Betty, you go with Mark in case he needs to send back a message.
Steve and Valerie have reached the ship, but there's no sign of the giant or the other Earthmen. There is something unusual, though.
So it stopped down and crashed. Looks like a giant could have fallen here.
You can see where he came in. There are no signs where he left.
That gadget Olds used doesn't put the foliage back in place. That's a mistake. The general size and shape of the damage indicates the giant was lying down at some point.
I assume your friends told you. They left here rather suddenly.
Well, they were running away from a giant. What happened to him?
Afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Do you know anything about a giant, Fielder?
No, nothing.
They may not grasp where they are yet. I have a feeling Olds still thinks he's on Earth. Steve would like to see their ship, but they say that's impossible. Still, they can take the group back to Earth when they leave. How remains to be seen.
I take it this is the ship you came in?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
By all means, barge right in. It's not as though there are protocols about asking for permission to come aboard or something like that.
Try to distract them. You get away. Warn Dad and Mark to stay away from here until I check them out.
He is suspicious. The man is bright. It could be dangerous. Agreed.
Okay, assuming he does know he's not on Earth, what precisely is the plan? I sure don't see one.
I'm still worried about that giant. He might have reported the location of our ship by now. You sure you didn't see him or hear him or anything?
Quite sure.
Could you explain this?
He shows them the crushed foliage while Valerie slips away.
The girl. She's gone.
You sent her away deliberately.
What are you up to?
Excuse me, whose camp is this? Whose ship is this? What makes you two interlopers think you're in charge?
What have you done with her? We've got to know what you've done with her. Answer me!
Okay, maybe they are in charge. Steve will bruise his knuckles several more times before his brain gets the message that it's not working.
We met the man. He doesn't trust them.
That's nonsense. There's nothing about him to mistrust.
Well, he thinks so, and he wants you to stay put until he can check them out.
It's ridiculous. These men are from Earth. They can get us back.
When did we establish that, Fitzhugh? They haven't said anything to you about it, and based on past experience, if Fitzhugh trusts them, everyone else should do the opposite. This is what he does. He wants it so bad he sees the least little glimmer of light and he jumps to conclusions as though it's a supernova. I wish Barry would challenge him on that, but Barry's manners are a little too good. Mark and Betty are heading for the ship, but there's something in their way.
I'm beginning to think he was killed.
My mistake. Two somethings.
Couldn't have been. We'd have found his body.
Not if he was buried.
There hasn't been time for that.
Can you explain it?
I can't.
If police killed him or captured him, they would have taken him or his body away fairly quickly, so maybe that's what happened. It wasn't, but maybe it was.
Nobody's home.
Steve!
Steve.
That's Steve's watch, and the band is broken, which means there was a struggle of some kind.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is get this.
I get the feeling Fielder is doing that just because he gets his jollies using his technology on people who don't have it. We still don't know what these two want from the crew. At the moment, they're acting like sociopathic children tormenting small animals.
Radios from...
This is your camp, I imagine.
How did you get here?
I've been here some time.
Where's Steve?
Steve? Oh, you mean the young man that was here a little while ago?
That's right. What happened to him?
He's with Commander Olds. They're performing a mission.
What would that mission be, and if you can't tell us, why? Last I heard, we're all in the same boat here. If these two bozos intended to come here for whatever reason, or if they really did intend to go to 20th century Earth, they should have done a little more research into how people acted in that time. Right now, everything they do and say is off-center enough to make the crew suspicious.
Are you really from Earth, Commander?
Yes.
And you're going to take us back there?
I assure you, you'll all be taken care of in good time.
Okay, enough to make some of the crew suspicious. Speaking of suspicious, please notice he didn't say yes. He dodged and gave a generic non-answer. He says Steve and Olds are looking for a hiding place for 100 people. He can't tell why, military secret and all that, of course. Betty knows of a nice big unused drain system that should meet the requirements.
I have this other pair out looking for locations for us.
Are you sure they can be trusted?
Reasonably. Stop! Come back here!
You know he's the leader of this group and you're really going to kill him with that thing? Olds may be the point man, but Fielder is definitely the more dangerous one. He likes being a bully. It's plain to see they don't have cartoons in the year 5477, or he never would have fallen for that.
Steve, are you all
What
right?
are you doing here?
Worried about you, Captain.
Look, I've no time to explain. You've got to get out of here before those two strangers get back.
They're not strangers. They're comrades in arms.
Fitzhugh, I'm not going to fool around with you. Now, will you get out of here?
Here we go again. He won't tell them what's going on, even though it might take all of 10 seconds.
Where's Mark and Betty?
I don't know. They took off some time ago.
Great.
What's this all about?
Are the radios recharged?
They should be. I guess so.
Go get a couple and the rope.
I repeat, tell him what's going on.
Do you have a straight pin?
They say any female worthy of the name always has one or two on her.
Good.
May I ask what it's for?
Later.
Baloney. He'll never answer her question. He never does. He says later, but later's kind of like tomorrow. It never gets here. I suspect Dan is used to it by now, but the others need to band together and demand better communication out of their captain.
Valerie, you hide in the woods with the others. We'll keep in contact by radio. You understand?
No. But I'm on my way.
Understand what? You haven't told anybody anything. It gets exasperating after a few episodes of him doing this. He acts like this is a one-man operation, but as we've seen again and again, it takes all of them working in coordination to survive. Granted, he's the chief coordinator, but for people to get into a coordinated arrangement, you have to tell them what the arrangement is. I think Steve missed that day during captain training class.
Where are we going?
To a drugstore.
Hey, it makes as much sense as anything else he's said so far. I know the idea is to build suspense for us, but there are better ways to do it than having the boss keep his own people in the dark. Meanwhile, back at Irwin Allen's prop room,
You've sent for me?
Our two time travelers have not returned. Treachery is suspected.
Where are they?
That is not known.
What efforts are being made to trace them?
Sensor scanning is now going on. Sooner or later, they will be detected. Hold yourself in readiness.
so Olds was right, they did fool the machines. Given what we know about this world, props to him for figuring out how to do it. Now go catch him because he's not a nice person.
Valerie. Valerie, come in. This is Steve.
Yes, Steve, go ahead.
I want to give you our location. We're at the drugstore, the one at 5th and Park. Right now we're in the stock room.
Yeah, they can pick up the radio transmissions with their telepathy, or something like that. Fielder stays at the ship while Olds heads for the pharmacy.
That's it. That's what we need.
Truth serum? What's the idea?
I want to get some straight answers for a change.
It's also called sodium amytal, and it's been around since 1923. Why a local pharmacy in a typical giant town would have it in stock, you'll have to ask them.
Will this do?
Yeah. That's going to do fine.
Are they figuring to make him snort it? Whatever they're going to do, they might want to do it now because here comes Olds.
Led me quite a chase.
How'd you find this?
Little people.
What?
No, not nice old Mr. What's-his-name?
What kind of weapon is that?
A very efficient one, I assure you.
I'm assured.
Yeah, really? Just who are you?
Exactly who we said we were. We're from Earth, as you are.
By the way, where on earth are you from?
I'll ask the questions, not you.
If they're planning to hit him with that truth serum, now would be a good time.
What have you got there?
Oh, it's nothing.
Hand it over.
Give it to him.
We call it a dun-da-dun. You roll up a piece of paper, you do know what paper is, yes, and then you make music with it like this. Dun-da-dun!
This'll do very, very nicely. Yes, it's perfect for our purpose. Now, we must think about supplies.
Supplies?
It's enough provisions to feed 100 people for 1 year.
That's a lot of food.
Was there a food shortage in this planet?
No, there seems to be plenty to eat.
And there's no problem at all. There's plenty of storage space in this drain.
There's plenty of food on the planet for the giants. For us little people, not so much. They need to tell him that, as if he cares. To him, they're not much more than worker drones who don't need to know anything except their next job. Guys like this strain my Christian morality to the limit because I find myself really wanting to do things to them that Jesus probably wouldn't approve of.
I wonder why he wants to feed so many people for a year.
It's a military secret, remember?
Yeah, well, everything's a military secret to that guy. Come on.
Where are we going?
Back to camp and find out what's happening.
Whatever scenario you can imagine that would require provisions for 100 people for a year, trust me, the real story is worse. Olds is veteran character actor Warren Stevens, and Fielder is Jerry Douglas, same category. We've seen both of them before. Warren Stevens was in an episode of Honey West as well as another episode of this show. Jerry Douglas played Inspector Bryce in the last 2 episodes of Secrets of ISIS. It's fascinating to me how the stars get all the attention and awards and money and fame and all that, and without these people, the steady working actors who go from show to show, week after week, creating the scenarios that make the stars stand out, none of the big shots would have anything to do. If there's one thing I've learned from doing these reviews, that's it. Character actors made the medium what it is and made the stars look good. They're the real heroes of these earlier days of television. I guess the next question for our heroes is, how do they get the truth serum into one of these guys without the dun-dun-dun? And how was that supposed to work anyway?
The radios are gone.
Well, maybe Steve came back and got them.
Maybe.
There's that one big radio right there in front of you. Maybe use it and ask a few questions.
Spindrift calling Burton. Spindrift calling Burton. Do you read me, Steve?
Answer the call. Tell him to meet you back at the camp.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, there's something they don't know.
Mark, this is Dan. Meet us back at the spaceship area. Out.
Your radio isn't working.
It's not important how he knows, he just does.
Mark, this is Valerie.
Valerie, is Steve with you?
No, but I've heard from him. Where are you?
At the spaceship.
He wants you to join us. And he told me to warn you if I could.
Warn me about what?
The strangers from Earth. He wants us to steer clear of them till he can find out more about them.
They both heard that. The good news is they don't know where the old yellow log is, so Olds will keep directing Steve and Dan to the camp.
It's just a rock.
Well, remove it.
No caca, Sherlocka. What do you suppose he's doing? Now I'm waiting for him to get behind Steve and say, take a step, take a step, take a step, take a step. Good grief, it's contagious. And now we know what the dun-dun-dun was for. He's making a blowgun.
Well, we have it.
Yeah, you have it. I suggest you stop pointing it at your own face.
Told you to be careful.
I know how to control it now.
That's fine, but that rock you blew up was your chair, so you get to go find yourself another one.
Where are you from?
Earth.
How did you get here?
We're time travelers.
Well, when are you from?
The year 5032 of the atomic age. As you measure time, the year 5477.
Year 5032 of the atomic age. It's easy to laugh now, but in 1969, that idea was just as plausible as any other. I've talked before about 60s people and nuclear power. We genuinely expected it to transform the world like this and bring us into a golden age of peace and clean, reliable energy. But he and Fielder are showing us that some things won't change over the next 3,000 years. The worst aspects of human nature, for example.
What are you doing here? We plan to unleash a deadly bacterial agent on Earth. The entire population will be wiped out, everyone.
Why?
We will take 100 people from Earth. 100 people carefully selected to be dull, unimaginative, slothful. These 100 people will stay here on this planet for 1 year.
They'll breed these people like cattle and repopulate the earth with a race of slow-witted, compliant, easy-to-dominate people. Naturally, he and Fielder will become their benevolent dictators and rule the world. If they succeed, their machine overlords will never exist. They and their progeny will be overlords. This is their plan.
You don't really believe all that, do you?
Well, with that drug, he shouldn't be lying.
Yeah, but time travel and all that jazz.
If it's not true, explain that weapon to me, Dan. He hid it somewhere so he wouldn't accidentally fire it again. Having to replace one rock is enough for today.
Oh, he's coming out of it. Just play it cool. You won't know what happened.
I'd suggest they tie him up, but they have a fair idea that he's in contact with Fielder, and they don't need that.
We've located the perfect place. Good, where is it?
Aren't you going to let us in on what you're saying?
What?
Well, it's obvious you're communicating by telepathy. That's not very polite, is it?
They didn't expect that. Olds wants Steve to inspect this place since he knows a lot about the dangers of this planet and all that. Fielder reports that Mark and Betty slipped away when he wasn't looking. For the moment, he doesn't care where they went. Fielder will take both Steve and Dan to the drain.
A report has come through from the scanning sensors. There has been an inexpert firing of a medallion.
Both Olds and Fielder are expert.
Nevertheless, an inorganic mass has been struck by the beam, enabling a fix to be made on its location. Take down these coordinates.
Every so often, basic fumbling around pays off. They had to go with a different time cop because Jean-Claude Van Damme was only 9 years old.
When I permit you to move, you will be in a hypnotic trance. Your will subject to mine. A force ray was fired near here a short time ago. Do you know exactly where it hit?
Yes.
Lead me there.
Why not just ask him without screwing with him? Everybody in this time period is an ass.
Mark, Betty, are you okay?
Yeah, we're fine. Don't worry. We finally met one of those Earthmen. Pretty strange, aren't they?
Oh, yes, now that you mention it.
Didn't Steve show up yet?
No, I'm getting worried.
I better look for him.
Do you think you should?
I just have a feeling something's happened to him and Dan.
Steve is currently in different hands. The jury is still out on whether they're better hands or not.
Who fired the medallion?
Dan.
This man called Dan. He was a stranger.
No. I've known Dan for a long time.
Then who does the medallion belong to?
2 strangers came into our camp. It belongs to one of them.
I will switch back in time to when they arrived.
He knows when they arrived. How? And is this going to shake out the way I think it's going to shake out?
They have killed a man at your campsite.
They also killed a druggist.
Okay, he's not going there, he's just looking. For a minute, I was afraid he was going to go back and catch them before they did anything, which means the whole episode never happened. I'm not sure a show like this could get away with an entire storyline that turned out it never happened. It's not Dallas, after all.
Have they done anything else besides these 2 wanton killings?
They plan to wipe out Earth and to repopulate it with people that they can control.
You have been most helpful. You will now return to your people, and when you have joined them, you will come out of your trance and remember nothing that has happened.
Why? He's supposed to be the good guy in this, but he's just as arrogant and manipulative as the bad guys. I find it impossible to root for any of them. I say bury them up to their necks and call in the giant ants, including this guy. Of course. Mark is still looking for Steve, but he stopped to check in with Valerie.
Go ahead, Mark.
Listen.
I'm in the woods now. There's still no sign of Steve and Dan, but I'll keep looking.
Get him.
Why is he just standing there? Did he forget he has legs that work?
Squash you like a worm.
Again, why? What purpose would it serve? Maybe it's because I was always on the wrong end of it, but I've never understood the bully mentality. And any time you treat someone as though they're less than you, like every guest star in this episode is doing, you're being a bully whether you realize it or not. You're saying, I'm so much more important than you, you should be subservient to my superiority. To which I can only say, in every case where this sort of thing happens, we do have a high opinion of ourselves, don't we? It's okay to have a high opinion of yourself. I obviously have a rather high opinion of myself because I actually believe there are people out there who need or want to hear what I have to say. I also know that there are lots of other voices and they all have something to say. So if I really think I'm better than them, I'm not, I'd better show it in my content. Using my content to tear other people down wouldn't be a superior thing to do. I'd rather play music, reflect on these old shows, and tell dumb jokes.
I'll give you one more chance. Are you gonna tell me what you've done with my brother?
Talk. I don't know what you're talking about.
Kill him and be done with it.
I want to know what's happened to my brother.
Why don't you admit it to yourself? He took the money and ran off.
Don't call my brother double-crosser.
Call him yourself. I didn't call him anything. I just want to know where he went.
Hey, he's getting away.
We get it in tiny, bite-sized pieces, but these guys robbed someplace. His brother was carrying the money when Fielder killed him. Best I can figure, he was still holding the satchel with the money when they disintegrated him. That's why his gun was all that left. He dropped it when he fell. Now I'm waiting for someone to explain it to these two because I want to see their faces. Steve and Dan are in the drain. Olds moved a bunch of huge food cans in by himself, which isn't surprising considering what they know about their visitors. But there are things about them that the visitors don't realize.
Fielder, tell me something.
What do you wish to know?
Can you and Olds read minds?
Of course not. Why do you ask that?
Because I can.
That's right. You can. And it's really weird. You're both amusing, but I don't believe you.
Well, I knew about you using telepathy back there, didn't I?
That? A guess.
Steve says, oh really? Then how come I know all about your plan, the 100 people, the plague on Earth, and the rest of it?
And who told you that?
You did. I read your mind. I also read your friend's mind. Do you have any idea what he's planning for you?
He's messing with Fielder's head, but there's a good chance he's right. Remember when Olds was explaining the plan?
They will then go back and repopulate the world. In 5,000 years, such a population will be easily subjugated by me.
Me, not us, as in him and Fielder. I have a feeling Steve caught that, so it's time to run with it.
Well, as soon as you get these 100 people planted here, and everything's taken care of, he's not going to need you anymore. So he's planning to kill you, just as he's planning to kill us.
That's a lie.
Do you think the two of you are going to be ruling Earth 5,000 years from now? There's going to be room for only one absolute ruler, and Olds plans to be it.
This whole mind-reading thing has gotten eerie enough that Fielder isn't so sure now.
Fielder? Fielder?
Yes. What do you want?
Bring your 2 prisoners to the spaceship camp at once.
We'll be there. If you can read minds as you claim, what am I thinking?
You've been in telepathic communication with Olds.
Come on, let's go.
He didn't need to read your mind to get that one. I'm guessing they don't call you Poker Face. But that investigator should be able to hear their communication too, shouldn't he?
Your report is most enlightening.
And I'm sure he'd be able to if he was there, but he's back at the office doing paperwork.
Obviously, Olds and Fielder have become renegades. We must put an end to their wanton killing. They will be dealt with. Go and observe.
How about go and do? Who's going to deal with them how, and how much more damage are you going to let them do before someone actually takes that thing, what's it called? Oh yeah, before someone actually takes action. If this is where humanity is headed, maybe we need that plague, never mind the 100 people. Give the world back to the dolphins.
I've decided we're wasting time collecting provisions piecemeal.
Time shouldn't be any problem to a time traveler.
What did you say?
They know about us.
For the moment, Olds doesn't care if Steve can read minds. He asks about the planet's weaponry, and Steve says roughly comparable to Earth in the second half of the 20th century. Olds says, perfect.
My plan is simple, Fielder. We walk into one of their markets and take all the food we need.
Well, I think you just might get an argument on the management on that.
Not to mention the customers.
And don't forget, they're giants.
We simply dispose of any giants who get in our way.
It's time for the lean-to.
There's just one problem. The weapon isn't where he hid it.
This is what you're looking for? And now I'm going to do what I should have done in the first place.
No.
Are you questioning my authority?
Last I heard, you were supposed to be a team. I think Fielder noticed the implications in that. He says, we still need to learn more about them.
I've learned enough.
Do we know if he can read minds, as he says? And if he can't, how did they find out about us? And how did they get your medallion?
Take charge of your prisoners.
Valerie can't reach anyone on the radio, so the four of them will go looking. Chipper will try to find Mark's scent, and they don't even need something with his scent on it to get him started. They just have to say, find Mark, because Chipper understands English fluently and knows each of them by name. Mark has taken refuge in the drain where all the food is stored.
What's the matter? It's an abandoned storm drain. Is there any other way we can force him out?
There's usually a clean-out vent. They found the storm drain.
We can't permit that to happen.
Steve can't stop him, and two more giants disappear.
Hey, Steve,
What are you doing here, Mark?
are those giants still outside?
They're not there anymore.
Our two friends here took care of that.
Just who are the two of you?
I'll tell you all about it, but I'll tell you now. You're not going to believe it.
And sure enough, he doesn't.
Since there is no longer a need for these rags,
I wonder if Mark believes it now.
you stay here and keep a close watch on these people. I'm on my way to solve our supply problem.
By wiping out a market? Killing more giants?
If necessary.
As quick as he's gone, Steve starts hammering away at Fielder again. Olds is going to murder you like he's going to murder us. You'll never get your hands on that power he's talking about. You're a fool to trust him.
Except we got something in store for him. Show me a radio.
Radio? Oh, right. You see this radio? It's really not a radio at all.
But it looks like a radio, doesn't it? In fact, your friend thought it was a radio.
Yeah, he sure did.
It's actually a small battery-powered box that transmits and receives high-frequency electromagnetic radiation. Do you know what that can do to a man? Mark couldn't touch him, so Steve had to try, and try, and try. He couldn't do it, so Dan had to try. This is yet another reason why women live longer than men. Men sometimes have trouble grasping the obvious.
Let the protective shield vanish.
That's it. That's what he's going to do. And he won't even have the courtesy to let them know why they could suddenly touch him.
Nice guy. Yeah, but is he really out?
Yeah, he is. Just make sure he stays that way. I'm going to set up a trap for Olds, and I don't want this one to give any telepathic warnings.
Olds, come back. They've attacked me and taken the medallion.
So much for that plan. They should have checked to see if his hat is reinforced.
time resumed for that female only.
Typical guy, 4 perfectly good people there, and he's only interested in the attractive woman.
What do you want?
They have a weapon in there, and I do not intend to become its victim. You will go inside.
Me?
Move.
And then what? They're not likely to shoot Valerie. What's he up to? And why isn't that third guy stopping him? Whatever he's getting paid is way too much. It'd be nice to see Mark get the chance to beat the whole bunch of them with a club.
Valerie!
Hello, Steve.
You'd better surrender, unless you want to see this young lady blown to bits.
Dude, she won't go out with you. No means no. Take the L and move on. I need to contact my namesake, Irving, the 142nd fastest gun in the West. I think I found a guy who's slower than he is. He can't say Steve didn't warn him.
That was meant for you, but no matter. Fielder had to be taken care of sooner or later anyway.
Again, he can't say Steve didn't warn him. And doesn't Steve also have one of those things? Why isn't he waving it around?
I've got to get rid of all of you right now, starting with you.
You can't!
Olds, put away your weapon.
Now he intervenes after one of them is dead and 2 more giants have been murdered. Efficiency, thy name is not that guy. They never give him a name.
You will return now to face your punishment. It would be far better for you if you had never been born.
So go back a day or 2 and fix it all, you useless stack of dimwit. And by the way, these people have a right to know what just happened.
He's gone.
What happened? Where did he go, Steve?
They have a right to know, but this clown couldn't care less about their rights. He considers them a half step above lab rats, just like Olds and Fielder did. The only difference is the method of tormenting them. We've seen Irwin do variations on this kind of story several times, and I hate them all. They're unnecessary. Our heroes have plenty of varieties of peril in the here and now without dragging time travel and stuff into it. The episode accomplished nothing. Nobody grew as a result. Nobody learned something. Nobody discovered something about themselves or someone else or their world. It's just there. That's the way it is every time he does a time travel story. In the grand scheme of the storyline, it's irrelevant. The show was called Land of the Giants, not Land of the Weekly Weirdos. But I regret to say that's how it's going to get for the next few weeks, including yet another time travel episode. So buckle up. It's going to get bumpy for a while. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please click the thumbs up. It really does help the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, the button looks something like this. So click it and join our little family. There's a bell there that may or may not actually work to give you notifications when we post something, but it can't hurt to click it just in case. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. We're still reusing leftover. Come on. I guess that's one way to double check. Come on. I guess that's one way to double check that. Come on, quit slurring words. At the moment, they're acting like sociopathic. A piece of paper, you do know, but come on. Place, since he knows a lot about the dangers of this planet, because Jean-Claude Van Damme was only 9 years old. 9 years, good, I can say 9, good grief.